Hello, I'm Lamar Copeland, and today I will be presenting on the COVID Certificate Check application. Reasons behind studying the COVID Certificate Check application. The COVID Certificate Check application is an open source application on the F-Droid repository. It was chosen for my report on an F-Droid repository because of its similarities to Part 1 of Obamacare.gov from 2013. Both applications were open source applications developed by relatively small teams to meet a nationwide healthcare need. Obamacare.gov made it easier to teach about the difference between open source applications developed by smaller teams and private projects developed by larger contractors. It turns out that Part 1 of Obamacare.gov worked more efficiently and costed less to develop, while Part 2 costed more and had all types of functionality errors. By drawing a connection between the official Obamacare.gov Part 1 and the COVID Certificate Check application, one could conclude that the latter has potential to be just as efficient as well as cheap to develop because both are open source projects on similar repositories. It's easier to teach about the benefits of an open source application when a concrete example is available. Information gathered from the COVID Certificate Check repository. The information gathered on the COVID Certificate Check app repository was distributed as follows in my report: the programming language and how it affects updates and popularity, mobile device compatibility and user interface, and logging data. Number 1, programming language. The COVID Cert app was coded using a version of the Java Development Kit. According to research, the following has been found. Based on a study of hundreds of F-Droid applications shared across several platforms, it was found that F-Droid apps coded in Kotlin often don't get updated to that latest version, which means that projects coded in Java usually continue with updates and bug fixes. On the other hand, it was found in another study that applications coded in Kotlin wholly and partly have higher ratings on average than those that are not. These findings reveal that the COVID Cert Check app will likely continue to be updated because it is coded in Java. However, because it is not coded in Kotlin, its rating may not be as high as the ratings of similar COVID-related apps, which could cause the government to switch to another app to fulfill their purposes. Mobile device compatibility and user interface. To test the capabilities of a software called Owl, researchers from several organizations performed a study on the graphical user interfaces of popular apps from F-Droid and the Google Play Store. In the study, they discovered 57 user interface issues in the apps that had been previously undetected. Figure 4 gives a few examples of the types of user interface bugs that were found. Due to the existence of this study, it is observable that the logging data of F-Droid apps like COVID Certificate Check will include user interface issues. In addition, due to the several types of Android devices and different API versions or levels, it is naive to assume that the COVID Certificate Check application would have a data log that doesn't have user interface errors included. Therefore, it can be concluded from the COVID Certificate Check application's repository that problems with the app's user interface and display were or are prevalent. Logging data. A case study done on 1,444 Android applications in the F-Droid repository showed that logging for mobile apps is less pervasive than logging for desktops or servers. In addition, it was found that logging data for mobile devices is largely used for debugging purposes. Table 1 shows that debugging instances are the most frequent when examining the logging data of the two applications listed in the data. The most profound finding in this study was that the frequent inconsistencies in logging for mobile devices causes performance overhead due to unnecessary logging. This could also be true for the COVID Cert Check app. Based on some of the problems that the Obamacare.gov website had with serving far more users than expected, it follows that the COVID Certificate Check application developers would run into the same issue to some degree, considering that the app was developed to serve the country of Switzerland. Another challenge for the developers could have been compatibility with the several types of Android devices that the app could be used on. In addition, looking into the COVID Certificate Check repository, there were problems dealing with virtual scan initiation, deleting certificates, merging certificates, certificate recognition, standardized name display, minor instructions, display of the correct certificate type, and deprecated master keys and Google Play integration. In this presentation, information about the COVID Certification Check application in the F-Droid repository was discussed. The venue that this paper would be submitted to is the Mining Software Repositories Conference because this paper exemplifies the purpose of MSR, which to present, research, and analyze data and projects that are discovered from vast amounts of software data, such as the FDRO repository. The paper will be submitted in ACM publication format after it is peer-reviewed and no longer under review, accepted by the MSR conference, and copyrighted after acceptance. The submission address for the MSR research paper is msr2021datashowcase.hartcrp.com.